Welcome back to Book Bingers, the podcast where we talk about books, book recommendations, book boyfriends, books we love, books we haven't talked about yet.
What?
Fourth Wing.
Oh my god, I literally have it tattooed on my body and we haven't talked about it yet.
I know.
It's time.
It is time.
It is time. Okay, so here's what we're doing. Oh boy, this is a new thing for us.
Yeah.
We are going to talk about the first 5 chapters of Fourth Wing, and we're going to go 5 chapters at a time through this bad boy so that we can really get into the nitty gritty. If you haven't read Fourth Wing, maybe just prepare yourself for spoilers if you're going to choose to listen to this. If not, that's fine. Go read it and come back. Because we're going in deep. We're getting in hot. We're not going to be going over like, this is what happened. We're going to be like, this is what happened. Did you see what she said?
Correct. Like, so, I just counted in at the 1% mark.
I know.
The two of us had made 10 comments.
Okay, so we did this on Storygraph. We did a buddy read, and we were reading separately. And on Storygraph, you can do a buddy read where you can, like, put comments, but the other person can't see it until they've passed that point, and then it, like, unlocks. We also said a lot of the same things. So, hey, good to know. Same page. There was, when you're dissecting a book, especially this one, there's a lot. So we're going to get into it. Bear with us here because we're going into theories. So that's not saying that we think we're right. We're just saying, what if?
Correct.
But maybe. Okay, so here we go.
What is hilarious, because the first thing that you highlight is thousands of 20-year-olds waiting outside the gate. Yes. Do you want to know what the first thing I highlighted is? I'm so fucked. And that is the sentence right before thousands of 20-year-olds.
Because, listen, I don't know. I don't know if I ever really took into that they were 20. I think I just thought 18 because that's when we graduate and we go to college. So I was like, oh my God. And like the visual of just thousands of 20-year-olds. Out there just like choosing, I don't know, it just like really like when you sit and you are picturing that, it's a lot. But anyways,
what I thought immediately at that point is we're in Violet's head and she says, I'm so fucked. And I just feel like that sets the tone for who Violet is as a character. Like immediately you're like, oh, I like her.
Immediately she's like, fuck this shit. This is not what I signed up for. I don't want to do this.
Correct. It's not like this hero mentality right out the gate, this, that. No, she's like, no, this is awful.
Yeah, she's like pretty much like, I guess I'm going to try and live as long as I can because this is not what I've been trained for my whole life. So like moving right on to like the next, like again, this is all 1% into the book.
So then she goes into her mother's office.
Yes, and this is where I think both of us start being like...
Correct, because I start dissecting every single word out of her mother's mouth.
Correct. And so straight out the gate, her mom says, and this is what stuck with me, like Mira's trying to be like, hey, no, she should not be going. And they're having a conversation about how her dad was a scribe and her mom is a dragon rider. And she says, and she emphasizes, I will not watch one of my children, and the word my is emphasized, one of my children enter the scribe cadre. And you and I were on the same page here. Like, Rebecca Yarros has said several times her dad is dead. But she didn't say who her dad is. She didn't say the name.
No.
So could her dad not be the man that raised her?
Yes. Very much so, I think.
Very much so, right?
Yes.
So, like, yeah, I get that your dad is dead, but is the man who raised you dead?
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
And when we say your dad is dead, was he ever alive? Is he the god of death? Like, do you know, like, where are we going here? Is he a Venom? Like, how alive is your biological dad?
Violet, where did you come from?
Where did you come from, Violet? But also, the man that raised you, I didn't see him die. And if I don't see you die, I mean, this is like movie 101 right here. If I don't see you die.
Correct. I mean, look at what happened with Brennan.
Speaking of Brennan, rereading this, it's very emphasized that his heart starts to give out the second that Brennan dies.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense. And that it takes 5 years for the heart to finally give out after that.
Yeah.
I got thoughts. I have thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Because Brennan was resurrected.
Sure was.
Was his life tied to another? Did he eventually drain it? Are they venom? I have so many thoughts.
Yeah, like, did he share a life force with his father?
Correct. And did it eventually end up stealing that life force? Is that why her dad was searching all of this venom stuff? Because he knew his life was draining and he was trying to find another way to survive? I don't know.
Is he really dead? I don't know.
Is he really dead? And the tagline for Onyx Storm was, I will save him. Is it Xaden? Do we all just assume it's Xaden? Maybe it's someone else that she's saving. Maybe it's her dad. Maybe it's a dragon. Maybe, who knows? Because we all just assume it's Xaden. But Rebecca, she's a smart cookie.
She is.
And the way she keeps saying, her dad is dead. You guys, her dad is dead. Who's her dad? That's my question.
Who's her dad and who's her father?
What's her dad's name?
And who's the man who raised her versus who's the one who sired her?
Who's the semen come from? You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
These are my
questions.
You
want a DNA test.
And I don't think that we're like being crazy far-fetched with this thought.
I don't. It's so murky and she's left it that way.
Purposefully.
She also lays out pretty early, which now in retrospect I'm like, oh, why don't we pick up on this? The prohibited power of mind reading, that gets slid in right in there. So automatically we're like, we should be tuned into, mind readers. And I want some information, and this goes hand in hand with who her sire is, okay?
Yeah.
It's like that fever stole all of your coloring along with your strength. Grief flashes through her eyes. Mm-hmm. Grief for who?
Grief for who?
In the sickness that nearly killed her while she was pregnant.
I know.
What is this sickness?
That line being thrown in there is something that we all are like, what? Why do we never hear any more about this sickness? Besides the fact that it was a sickness.
And now her mother's dead.
Correct.
Do you know what I mean? So who's going to tell us?
And like, we have to remember, we are living in a world with magic. That means any rule could be thrown in there at any time.
Absolutely.
So like, when I think back to her dad and the fact that he was like one of the best scribes, he's constantly reading. He has this book that no one else has. Mm-hmm. For all I know, he could have, like, before his firstborn child, Brennan, goes in, he could have put some kind of, like, safety spell on him where their lives are tied together. Mm-hmm. Who knows? Because why else would his heart go out the second that Brennan dies? Because Brennan does die and is resurrected.
I just feel like that is such specific wording.
Correct.
That it has to be important.
It has to be so important. I'm telling you, every part of my gut says...
Does Brennan know? Does Brennan know? Does he have all the answers? Is Brennan bad?
As we go into this, because I don't want to get into
Yeah.
Because I think that's in the next.
Yeah.
I think it's in chapters 5 through 10 where we start talking about Naolin.
Yeah.
But I have thoughts.
Yeah.
I have so many thoughts on the venom. It's like not even funny. I just feel in my gut that Daddy Dearest is alive somewhere.
A father figure is alive.
A father figure is alive.
And very important to the outcome of this story, I think.
Very important. And let's say he really is dead. I don't think that doesn't mean we're not going to see him. We saw Liam.
Correct.
So I don't think that means we won't.
I just think resurrection gets mentioned too many times for it not to be something that becomes very important or happens.
Correct.
And will there be consequences to it? Of course.
Of course.
But...
Okay, still at 1%. Let's keep going. You guys, a lot happens though before, like in with the mom. so much.
Yes.
How brilliant of Rebecca. This is like we're thrown into the world. We are getting the lay of the land immediately and how high the stakes are.
And I get very confused by her mother at this point because she says, like, Violet deals with more pain before lunch than you do in an entire week.
True.
So I'm like, should we like her mom or should we not like her mom?
Right.
Does her mom like Violet or does she not like Violet?
And the fact that she had been letting Violet do this scribe stuff for so long and then 6 months before.
That, like, what happened?
What happened 6 months prior to make her be like, nope, she's going to have a better chance at surviving in this than as a scribe, because there's no way she wants her child to die. She doesn't want Violet to die. It's like, is
at that 6 month mark, like, you think that is when her mother is finally clued into, like, the machinations of what's going on behind the scenes?
I think that 6 months prior, she must have found out the truth about what's happening outside.
And saw her best bet at keeping her daughter safe.
Or she found out a secret about Violet and knowing that she must be the key to something. I don't know. But something happened 6 months before that. Yeah. Because all her other kids trained their whole life. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like she would have been okay with Violet being a scribe until something. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I also, this is where we start to see, like, we start to see Mira as the only one looking out for Violet at this point. We're like, she has Violet's back. She doesn't want to lose another sibling. We find out that, Brennan has died, all of this stuff, and she's literally saving her life at this moment. She's
Mira's
like taking her backpack,
set her up for success.
Set her up as best as she can. She's freaking out, but she also wants to be like, okay, you can't carry all these books. Mm-hmm. It's giving very Hermione, like, I need my books. Yeah. And she's like, would you want to die for that book? Okay, great. Then let's put your hair up and get you over there. Mm-hmm. And she came prepared, knowing her mother wasn't going to change her mind, because she comes with an outfit made for Violet with dragon scale in it.
Amazing.
Like, the ribs of her dragon are in her armor, and it saves her life on more than one occasion.
Yes, it does.
So Mira knew her mom was, like, not going to change her mind, but she had to try. Oh, boy. 1% in, and I'm already, like,
I know.
My heart.
So in the part that they're repacking the backpack, and she's, like, arguing about the books, she says about the one that she ends up leaving, the Fables. Yeah. Dad gave me this one. Gave this one to me. It warns against the lure of magic and even demonized dragons. So, are dragons bad?
I absolutely think they can be. Like, I mean, they're now.
I know at one point you were kind of joking, but, like, is this an Andarna villain origin story?
I was kind of joking, but also like,
but could it be?
But could it be?
Could it be? You know, like, what? We know that the dragons do what they want. We know that they control everything. But, like, what else does it say about the dragons in this book that all we know right now is about the, like, Fables and the Venom.
Correct.
We don't know that much about the dragons.
We also know that, like, dragons are going to do whatever the fuck they want to do. Mm-hmm. Or so we're told that a dragon will not listen to a human. But could there be one human that could maybe talk to all dragons?
Don't know.
I don't know.
Don't know.
But Andarna is a queen. That is something that we know. Like, Andarna is rare. Yep. That doesn't necessarily mean, and she's adorable and sweet now, but how many origin stories have we seen? Mm-hmm. I mean, this girl can change everything about herself.
What would that do to me?
I mean, it would break my heart.
You know what I mean?
It would break my heart. I was joking when I said it, but listen. I don't know.
That would be wild.
That would be wild. Okay. God. Okay, can we get past 1% or do we have more to talk?
We're at like 3%.
Okay, great. Let me load more of these comments.
She mentions Amari, which is the queen of the gods.
Yes.
Which I don't feel like we've heard that anymore.
I really hope that the gods, I really hope they come in to play more, because we hear a lot about, like, Xennial. Like the god of luck.
Yes.
Every now and then, but also then we also hear nothing. So it's like mentioned, like, praying to the god of luck every now and then, but I'm like, are these gods Real?
They have to be.
Right? Like-
I think that they have to be. You can't just mention all these different gods so many times without it being.
But like, I mean, like, are they like gonna themselves?
Maybe,
Like, I'm like,
maybe.
can we learn a little bit more? We learn a little bit about Malik, whatever, and
See,
you gotta burn
I'm not
the things.
convinced. I'm not convinced that Violet is just human.
Me neither. That's why I said, but is your dad, when we say your dad is dead, is he a god? Is that kind of dead? Was he ever alive? This is my question, because Andarna didn't wake up for nobody. You know what I mean? She's been waiting for you.
Correct.
You can't tell me that this is the first person to ever have a scribe mind with the heart of a dragon. Like, come on. I need more. I need more of these gods. You throw them in sporadically, it's got to be leading to something more. Otherwise, it's just like, okay, why?
Yeah. Exactly.
And I love gods. I love stories with gods.
It would definitely open up the world in a major way.
Worlds.
Worlds.
You know what I'm saying?
Worlds.
Like, give it to me.
So now we're at the point where she's broken off from Mira. She said her goodbyes. She's climbing the tower.
Oh my God, the visual too, right? Of just, and like they even say like how many people fall just on the walk up. And she says a number.
Who designed this is my question.
Correct.
Oh my God.
I'm like, good gravy. But, as we come to know that, like, this actually ends up being nothing compared to what they're going to go through. Like, once you're on a dragon, this is like the walk on top of your dragon.
Correct. And it's at this point we get introduced to the idea of relics, and we hear General Melgren's name.
Yep.
And so he's the one who created the relics, which are on the tattoos that are on the skin of the rebellion children.
Yes.
And my question is, if his dragon dies,
do those go away?
Does the relic go away?
Right. Because his dragon did all of these. So, like, this is like a tattoo,
it's like
basically.
A tattoo.
And breathed onto all of them, even babies.
That marks them as traitors.
If that dragon dies...
And the thing is, General Melgren, like, his signet power, we come to find out,
massive.
He can foresee battles.
Battle outcomes.
Yeah. And so part of me is like, can he ever die? Can this dragon ever die? You know what I mean?
We also
know... Or is he always going to take himself out of it? We also come to find out
he can't see everything.
Correct.
So do we just have to get him out of...
Correct.
A certain area?
Correct.
Into a different zone? Maybe with some people he can't see.
I'm hoping.
Because I feel like he's definitely a big bad.
But I really want to know, do these relics go away?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I know.
And then we get introduced to Xaden.
We do. But before that, we get introduced to Rhiannon.
Oh, yes.
And we see Violet's heart. Immediately you love Violet. She's already like, I'm not going to cross this parapet. It's
like Mira is out here being like, do not make friends.
Do not make friends. Keep your hair up. The weather's
First
looking
thing
rough.
Violet does, makes friends.
Immediately. First thing she does, not only make friends, but
switch your shoe with
she
me.
Switches her shoe with her when the weather could not be worse. Straight out the gate.
Amazing.
Straight out the gate, I love her, and I love Rhiannon immediately. If anything happens to Rhiannon,
she needs to be untouchable. I can't. You cannot.
No, she's the Ron to Harry. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Anyways, moving forward, we see Xaden.
They connect eyes, and he's the most beautiful creature she's ever seen in her life. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God.
And it's at this first time that we see gold-flecked onyx.
Yeah, the word
onyx gets mentioned about Xaden's eyes quite frequently. You could just use the word black.
Yeah, no, that's just too plain for a writer.
There's lots of other ways to describe his eyes.
Onyx.
And it makes her heart stop when she sees Xaden, not realizing who he is.
She doesn't know yet.
She sees Zinal, the god of luck.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
God of luck, like, please let me make it. Yeah, okay. Okay, so we see Xaden and those gold-flecked onyx eyes, and then we get to, by the way, we're 5%. of the book in right now. She hasn't even crossed the damn parapet.
We're in chapter 2, though.
Okay.
We're finally in chapter 2.
Okay, so we start getting this is where we start seeing, it's foreshadowing, but we don't know what's foreshadowing yet.
Yes.
We start seeing the word lightning.
Yes.
A lot, described fast as lightning with daggers. Talking about how she's always loved the nights with the storms.
Yeah.
And cut back to, when do her and Xaden have a kiss? Could it be during a storm? Like, you guys, I'm just... reading it back, you're like, damn, she's a good writer.
Yeah. She's really laid this out for us. How did we not see... You know what I mean?
Damn,
it's really impressive. It's
the
really
amount
impressive.
of times lightning is described, and I'm over here like, I wonder what her signet's gonna be. Like... Oh boy, it was all there. It was all there.
And now as she starts to go across the parapet, one thing that I really enjoyed is...
This is my favorite.
I love that she gives us... Because Violet does this thing when she is trying to focus and she just starts spewing facts. Her scribe brain turns on.
Yep.
And this is such a smart way as an author to
Correct.
give us the backstory.
Yes, because she starts talking about, other places that we're going to see in the world. She starts talking about
The
things.
continent is home to 2 kingdoms.
Correct.
Blah, blah,
It's
blah.
such a clever, smart way to give the reader backstory without it feeling like world building.
Correct, because in the middle of these paragraphs that she's uttering, it's like my foot slips and I'm halfway off
and Jack's throwing people off behind me and Jack's
so
coming for me.
These really awful things that are happening around her, but we're able to just get these small digestible pieces of the backstory.
Yep.
Beautiful world building.
Beautiful. It's clever.
So
I
smart.
don't know how someone can get even 2 chapters into this book and not be obsessed with it. It blows my mind.
You're in it right away.
Immediately, this book is brilliant from start to finish. Let's keep going. Okay, so we also know from Mira that Dane is going to be here. And so as soon as we see Dane, I am picking up on how much he touches her.
He touches her constantly.
Constantly. And he even tells her, well, I have to touch... I mean, he's telling her things he's not supposed to be telling her.
Correct.
He tells her what his signet is. He tells her, I have to be able to touch someone.
So then I'm like, is Violet human? Because if she is this truth sayer, is Dane
is
just...
she?
Is she?
I don't know.
But why is Dane just giving up this information?
Well, as of right now, she doesn't have a signet.
But even without a signet, if she's not fully human,
Yeah.
does she have some sort of innate power that we don't know about?
Possibly. Because he's just telling her.
I mean,
like word vomiting. He's not supposed to tell anybody.
anyone.
So either they have that strong of a bond and trust, or he can't help himself. It's just word vomiting. Like, he even tells her, I have to be able to touch you. But yet, I'm also like, Violet, you let him touch you constantly. Even though he told you. So there's some instances where I get annoyed that, like, she's also kind of dumb.
He takes my chin between his thumb and forefinger.
And at that point, she's like, I've got nothing to hide.
Correct.
But, like, later on, I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, hello, you're still letting him touch you. Like, constantly. Like, what can he see when he kisses her?
Right, because when he says this first time, after he touches her, he goes, huh. He drops his hand and looks at me like he's never seen me before. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a complete stranger. He blinks and it's gone.
Correct.
And that
He saw
happens
something.
multiple times.
Yeah. So what did he see when he looked at her? What did he feel? Because he can only see memories. He can't, like, read her brain.
Recent memories.
Recent memories. So was it something with her mom that he picked up on? Something with Mira? The book?
How is recent?
The book? Do you know what I mean? Does he see
Yeah.
the book that comes out? Like, how recent is recent? And we know that he's still working on it. So he's not as awesome at his power at the beginning of the book as he is at the end of the book.
Correct.
So what flash does he see? Does he see her seeing Xaden for the first time and the way that she felt or reacted to seeing that hot onyx eyes? Like, I don't know. Where he was like, huh, gone. Dane.
Yeah.
Dane.
So then we move into chapter 3.
We're halfway there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And so they mentioned the Navy Dragon.
Yeah.
At this point. Because where does this... Oh, so they have... Everyone is in formation, right? Mm-hmm. So they're trying to put them in their wings and everything. And Violet says, the Navy Dragon seems to tilt its head at me, as if its narrowed golden eyes can see straight through me, to the fear fisting my stomach and the doubt curled insidiously around my heart.
Yeah.
And part of me is just like, oh man, I want to know, what does Sigale know?
What is
already?
what's in her head? Because she immediately
clocks Violet.
Clocks her. And is it like, it's like trying, and at one point I think she like tilts her head, like she's trying to figure.
So like in retrospect, is this because Xaden already knows he needs to look out for Violet? Like when?
Well, because, you know why? My brain just now. Sigale and Xaden know Brennan is alive.
That too.
So, and like they know that that's his sister. So she like, oh, that's the girl? Or do the dragons know that, is there a prophecy? Is there someone that they're like supposed to be looking out for? I don't know. But she clearly is clocking Violet and is like,
Correct.
Sizing her up.
Correct.
Sizing her up. And is Sigale the reason that Taryn comes? Is she like, hey, there's someone you might want to check out?
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Can we get a novella of just her brain?
I want her chapters. Like, I want bonus chapters of her.
Of her. I want to go through this whole book from
because
her
there's multiple times that they mention this Navy Dragon. Mm-hmm. And you know that she's talking to Xaden at the same time.
Of course.
So what is going on?
I know. I want to know so bad. So bad. But that's another thing where reading it the first time, over my head, I'm thinking nothing.
Correct.
Like, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, Xaden to the first years. And if you tell, I'll know. Okay, so like we're jumping to... I just jumped way too far. Do you have anything that before we get to that? Probably.
Just a few things. One of the things that's hilarious to me is that they need magic to use a pen.
What is this world?
It's such a weird thing that gets mentioned all the time.
And like, even like Dane like opening his door with magic, like what's happening? Okay, another thing about Dane.
Yeah.
Why is he so obvious with his protection for Violet? It drives me bonkers. For a guy that's all about the rules, he can't seem to help himself. It infuriates me to no other. That being said, I'm going to take a moment to give Dane a little bit of credit.
Okay.
If it were me and the someone I loved came into this world and...
Did he love her, though?
Either way, he probably loved her as a friend in any way, shape, or form. He cares enough about her. Someone that I came in that has broken bones left and right, I, too, would be like, we need to get you out of here.
Sure, but if they look at you one time and say, I'm not going anywhere, then would you still try?
Yes. Absolutely, I would. Absolutely, I would. If I was like, I can't watch you die. And if their whole life wanted to be a scribe, and they're like, my mom made me come here. I don't want to be here either. My mom made me come here.
Yeah, I understand at the beginning,
I would,
for sure.
Absolutely. At the beginning, I don't think Dane gets enough credit for how much he actually is trying to save her life. Yeah. I never thought Dane was a bad guy. And I still don't. And reading it again and confirms to me he truly cares about Violet. And he's truly breaking all the rules that he lives by. Like, to his core, lives by to try and save her. And I think it is so admirable that he's willing to do the things that he's just like would never do for anybody else for her.
Yeah, he's just not subtle about it. You know?
No, he just doesn't let it go. Even after she's like, hey, I'm still here though. Like, you still don't believe me? Like, I'm winning. I'm winning on the mat.
Correct.
I haven't lost yet. Like, and you're still doing this? Correct. That's when I start to be like, dude, when are you gonna, like,
at some point you
instead
need
of
to
trying to
just
get her out, when are you gonna help her?
her
Like,
to
teach her how to
stay.
fight, like, you know, to help her.
Correct.
Instead of trying to protect her.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, I'm like, I would have done the same shit. Like, if little Everly, that's like what I picture. Like, this little sweet thing come in, I'd be like, nope, we gotta get you out of here.
Yeah.
It's when it keeps going that I'm like, okay.
When she's pretty much, I mean, she's proven herself in many regards.
Many regards. You know? But in the beginning, I'm like, okay, Dane, Mr. like rule follower, is actually willing to break big rules against the general's daughter.
And he is, I mean, that is one of his pillars of his personality, is he is a rule follower.
It's like military kid.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like,
correct.
This is how I live and breathe. So, just one little, because I do think we're going to see a big redemption for Dane going forward. I really, really do.
I hope so.
I mean, to be fair, he already did redeem himself in Iron
Yeah,
Flight.
I hope he continues along that path.
I think he should start dating Kat. But anyways, I digress.
We're jumping way ahead.
Let's keep going.
So right before the classes start, Dane pulls Violet aside, and they're kind of like hiding in this rotunda.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, I think he's trying to convince her, like, are you okay?
Still,
like, you should go, blah, blah, blah. And it's the first time we see, now in retrospect, first time going through things, I don't think many of us realized it.
Yep.
And she says that the hair on the back of her neck stands up and a chill races down her spine.
Yeah.
And she finds Xaden is
staring at
her with narrowed eyes.
Yeah.
And at that point, you think it's just like, oh, she just, you know, that feeling.
That feeling when someone's looking at you.
Watching.
Yeah.
In retrospect, we now know that he is reading her and him and their intentions. And I wonder, does everyone feel this?
That's what I was going to say. I don't think most people would know, because obviously someone would be like, hey, check him out for this signet. I think that they're already connected.
Has to be, right? Because no one else ever mentions anything to that sort.
No.
So I think she's already tuned in.
They're already tuned in.
To Xaden.
Yeah. Are they fated?
We get the first mention of Dun, who's the goddess of war. And I get this feeling like the gods and the goddesses are going to be
Does it make you wonder if maybe Xaden's mom is also...
I do.
And that's like this connection that both of their parents are, and that's why they can feel each other, why they have this zing, why their dragons are in tune with them too, like...
Let's just say I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised. What I would be angry at is, please don't let them be related in any way, because that's too much for me to handle.
Oh, God. Oh, no. No.
Okay, so going into these classes is where we see Violet does have a chance at surviving
She does.
this. She may not have the physicality, but she's got the brain. And
she's so smart.
Even when she tries to hide it, she can't. She's too smart. And you know who it's pissing off? Jack. It's really pissing off Jack. And I love that so much. Just seeing how much Jack, from the get-go, was he Venom to begin with? Because this kid is like pure evil.
I don't know.
Straight out the gate.
We'll be able to put a better timeline on it once we get through the book. Like, I forget at what point he is already Venom.
I don't know. Like, were we ever told?
No, I don't know that we have an initial start. Like, did he come to the first day, like, on the parapet?
That's what I'm saying.
You know?
Like, was he sent there as a Venom to fuck everything up? Like, I don't know. Because how did he survive that fall if he wasn't already Venom?
Correct.
I'm just saying.
Correct.
And the fact that a dragon bonded with him, was he Venom? Did they know that? So, can dragons also be evil? Like, that's where that comes in.
Yeah.
And are Venom just naturally evil, or can you be Venom and not? We'll see it with Xaden, right? Like, we'll see this progression happen.
So chapter 5 is where we're going to wrap up for today. And I don't have a ton to say about this chapter because it's battle brief.
Yeah.
And so battle brief is every single student. They're all in there. And they get information on what's going on at the front. And it's very redacted in a lot of scenarios. And we get, we find out more about the like rebellion kids and Battle Brief late in the chapter 5 through 10.
The next.
But at this point, we just know that Violet is really freaking smart, and she knows all the questions to ask.
She knows the right questions. Like, we do see Xaden ask a very important question, and we immediately tune into the fact that, okay, Xaden does want to know. Why does he want to know? Like, is he a good guy? Is he working what team? Because we're being told through Violet's point of view that all the rebellion kids, they're bad. They're bad. Bad news bears.
Yeah. And he asks specifically, he's asking questions that really indicate that he
is smart too.
Knows a lot about
what's going on.
Yeah. And he establishes him as a leader and kind of, I think, someone you can rely on at this point.
It shows us why he has raised in the ranks so high, even as, one of the rebellion kids. So, that's a bummer chapter to end on because so much comes right after this. But holy moly, the first 2 chapters, I think, are where all of my, like, boom, 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 boom.
Oh, absolutely. She really sets us up. And, I mean, how smart. If you're an author and you want to, like, keep people on their toes, put it in the first 2 chapters where people are just blowing through it.
Yep.
Because when you're in a book,
By the time I was done with the second chapter, I felt like I already knew the world. Like, great, let's go. Mm-hmm. Nothing is better than the world being exposed to you through, like, key little moments as opposed to, like, here's a map and now we're going to talk about the world for the first chapter.
Correct.
Oh, and I forget everything I read, so I'm like, what? And if I'm reading on Kindle, I can't just flip back to the map.
No. So yeah, she did a great job with that.
Well done. Oh my God, but like, tune in for the next one because that's when my brain
6
starts.
6 to 10 things just really start popping off.
6 to 10?
Yeah.
Holy moly, we start seeing actual interactions between Xaden and Violet.
So you have a week to get through chapter 10.
Yes, because
on your reread.
This is where I start seeing a lot more of his second signet.
Yes, a lot happens. Yes.
Okay, so tell us your theories. Who do you think Violet's dad is? Are we just like too crazy? Are we just too deep into this world and we're too crazy?
Hey, step away.
Do you think? And what do you think of Dane? What do you think of Mira's mom? Mira's mom? Yeah, Mira's mom.
Yeah,
and Violet's mom. What do you think about all of this? What are your initial thoughts rereading it? And did you pick up on anything that we missed in the first 5 chapters?
Please let us know.
And oh my God, I'm really excited for the next episode. So tune in as we lose our minds between Xaden and Violet.
Oh my God, I love that so much.
Let's go. Let's get to the sparring. Let's get to the killing.
Oh God, okay.
All right, see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.